The glare on there.
If I was back in the control room, at CNN, I'd be like, hey, put a little bit of powder on. Put a little bit of powder
Right.
on.
Now you're in your own control room, man. Running
Yes,
the whole
exactly.
gig.
Exactly.
Late,
It's funny. Go ahead.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the True Life Podcast. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. Hope the sun is shining. Hope the birds are singing. The wind is at your back. It's Monday. We got a great show for you today. I hope everyone is ready to prepared to embark on a journey that challenges convention and embraces the transformative power of nature. Today, we introduce a true maverick of the media world, a visionary who's dedicated over 3 decades to captivating audiences through the lens of television. Cesar Marin, a stalwart in television production with an uncanny visual acumen and a knack for innovative storytelling, now channels his boundless creativity into a revolutionary new venture. After 20 years of steering live sports broadcasts, Cesar has traded the fast-paced newsroom for the boundless possibilities of entrepreneurship. His mission? To enlighten and inspire through a lifestyle and apparel brand that champions the life-changing potential of microdosing psilocybin. With a career built on crafting compelling narratives and orchestrating seamless productions, Cesar brings unparalleled experience in project management and team leadership to his latest endeavor. His new venture isn't just a business, it's a bold declaration. It's a passing of the torch. It's a call to awaken the dormant curiosity within us all, to explore the healing journey of plant medicine, and to manifest a life transformed by the subtle yet profound impact of microdosing. Join us as Cesar Marin, with clarity, passion, and the rebellious spirit of a true Gen X revolutionary, guides us through the visionary path. Prepare to be inspired, challenged, and awakened to new possibilities. Welcome to the revolution. Cesar Marin, how are you?
Oh, George, with that intro, how can I not be amazing? How could I not be? Thank you, my brother, for that. You know what? I couldn't be better. I couldn't be better. I have my life. I have my family. I have my health. And that's wealth. Health is wealth, and I'm thriving, and I get this incredible opportunity to share some time with you and cultivate some wisdom together. That know we're going to set an amazing buffet table of wisdom so that we do cultivate a better future, because that's what it's all about. I'm so happy to be here, George. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to take a time, because I know that this is, you want to interview me, but I do want to take a second to thank you very much for what you're doing, for what you bring, for the passion that you bring, for the guests that you bring, for how you poke and pride at them to get the best out of them. And George, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I put it in an Instagram. I put it in a post the other day that I worked with some of the best. I mean, I've worked with interviewers who I was sitting there going, oh, wait a minute, George, you give any one of them a run for their money. But the difference is you do it with love. You do it with this sort of big, huge heart of yours. And I love that about you. So thank you. And thank you so much. I'm humbled to be a guest on your show. I'm ecstatic to be here. I'm just really, really grateful to have this opportunity to share some time with you.
Man, that feels good. I appreciate it. I know that you have an incredible track record, and I think that's one thing that both you and I share is a passion for bringing about cultivating wisdom, trying to understand our lives as a mirror through which we can, or a looking glass through which we can see the world. Cultivating wisdom, man. How did you come up with that term? Is that something that you felt? Is that something that you lived, or what is it?
It's really interesting, George, because I mean, as some people might or might not know, plant medicine, psychedelics didn't come into my life until a really late age. I mean, I wasn't until 54 when psychedelics sort of, mushrooms started to call me and say, hey, come here, let's talk, let's have a little conversation. And as I'm doing, all this research as a good journalist, right? Because it wasn't, I'll be honest with people. My first delve was a recreational curiosity. I was, at the time I was battling a bad relationship that I had with cannabis. It was just, not a good relationship. And I was looking for a different high. I was looking for something different. And the mushrooms sort of said, you start that way, but we have something different for you. So the mushrooms, as they came into my life, and I realized that, wait a minute, hold on a second. People are using psychedelics as medicine, and they're using it for anxiety, and they're using it for depression, and people are using it to help with PTSD. And I come across this term microdosing, and my life completely changes. My life just opens up to these new possibilities of this new Cesar, of this new me, of this new conscious awakening. And in all of this, as I start to manifest that, hey, I'm using microdosing to change my life, I realized that I wanted to buy something to say, you know what, I'm using psychedelics, I'm microdosing,
Yeah.
and everything was very tie-dye, everything was very psychedelic, and that's where the idea of having an apparel brand. And when I was thinking about the name, every time I watched a documentary, every time I did research on psilocybin and on microdosing and on mushrooms, the word wisdom always came up, and the word cultivating more information, cultivating better future, cultivating mushrooms, the wisdom that these mushrooms brought up. And I was like, wait a minute, what the mushrooms do is that they cultivate wisdom. And if somehow we're able to cultivate that wisdom amongst each others, then we can have a bit of a better future. And it's funny, George, and I've shared this story several times. My first big dive into psychedelics, my first real, okay, I've realized what these are. I had already started to microdose. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for a big journey. When the medicine kicks in, the first thing I hear is, go lie on the dining room table. And I was like, what? Who, what? And my conscience like, go lie on the dining room table. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And I go and I lie on the dining room table and I start to laugh. I start to just lose it uncontrollably like a 10-year-old child. And all I hear, George, is go out and set buffet tables of wisdom to cultivate a better future. And that's what we're doing right now. It's this cultivating this wisdom that we have. It's setting these buffet tables that we can sit down and share this wisdom that we have amongst each other, right? To cultivate something better. And that's where the term came on. And it was just, it just really stuck. I thought it was really profound. That's what the mushrooms do to us when they're used responsibly. And that's where the term cultivating wisdom came from. And it's become what I want to do. It's become my path forward. It's become, me cultivating the wisdom they've given me to become a better person through microdosing, to then share with other people. So it's been quite a cultivating wisdom journey. And I really have this sense that all these conversations, when we interact with humans, that's what we're doing. We're cultivating wisdom.
Man, I love the story. I love the idea of setting a table and being there to share with other people, like the actual idea of cultivating. And there's something about, I think, being at a certain age and understanding what wisdom is. It seems like half of our life we spend trying trial and error and figuring out who we are. And I'm coming up on the age of 52, and the way I look back on my life versus the way I thought that I was while I was living it are two different worlds, man. And it just seemed like the appearance of wisdom is beginning to show itself on some level. Maybe you could talk about that transition. You said that you had a bad relationship with cannabis. Like,
yes,
how did it probably didn't start off bad, or maybe you could talk about that relationship.
Yeah. I think, and I'm going to preface this by saying, because a lot of people are going to say, no, cannabis isn't bad. Cannabis is, you know what I mean? Anything used irresponsibly can be bad, right? It's just when you're at the sense where it's wake up, get high, go to work, get high, at work, get high. I mean, George, I set off an alarm at CNN inside the building because the cannabis had controlled me so much.
Whoa.
Right? It had led me to that escapism where it was that intense, where it was like, I you know what, I'm at work, let me just sort of whatever. And that's not healthy, right?
Yeah.
That's not healthy at all. And I'm a big believer that everything, when it's done with intentions, right, can have magical effects.
Yeah.
The unintentional use of cannabis, right, where it's sort of, I'm just going to use it to whatever, you know what I mean? Just because escapism. And that's unfortunately what my life had turned into. And it was a sense of numbing a bit of reality sometimes, right? Oh, you know
Yep.
what? Oh, whatever. My marriage isn't working. You know
Yep.
what? Let me get high because whatever. It's not amazing. It's not great, but you know what? Let me escape. Let me get high. Let me do whatever. And when a substance controls you to the point where you're not only hiding from yourself, but you're hiding from the people who love you, right?
Mm.
When it's sort of, hey, babe, I got to go to the supermarket for what? I got to go get eggs. There's eggs in the refrigerator. No, I got to go get these special eggs for this recipe I'm making. Bullshit. No,
Mhm.
you're not. You know what I mean? And the thing is, at the end of the day, you're only fooling yourself, right? My new
Yep.
wife is very conscious of that. And she said it, look, you were only fooling yourself. You weren't fooling me. I knew what you were going to do, right? You're a grown man. I'm not going to sit there and beat you on the head,
Right.
you
Right.
know? Yeah. So it's when the relationship was to that point where it was controlling me. I was its slave. It was telling me what to do. It was telling me go off and do whatever you did. That's not healthy. That's a bad relationship. And it was the microdosing that really helped me to change the relationship that I had with cannabis, because it was that consciousness, right? It wasn't the thought of, hey, let me go get high. It was the consciousness saying, okay, the thought is there, but why? Why do you want to get high? What are you doing this for? What are you escaping from? What is it that you're looking for? That really opened my eyes to say, you know what? That's not good. Where I'm going that's not where I should be going. That's not where I should be leading my life, because I'm not being authentic with myself. So it was really profound just how quickly the microdosing kicked my conscious into effect of being able to change that relationship that I had with cannabis and saying, you know what? No, I control me. You don't control me. I control me. And I decide what comes into my body, and I decide what intentions I have to use whatever I have. So it's it was that sense of, what am I doing? Is this bettering me, or is this sort of helping me to escape from reality? And that's when, for me, the real that real click of consciousness came in. The thing that psychedelics did for me was to really help me to become my true consciousness. I always say our thoughts could be our worst enemies. Our thoughts can sort of be like horrible. It's the
Yeah.
consciousness that can be our truly best friend. And that's exactly what it did.
And I think you are echoing the sentiments of a culture right now. I know so many people and myself have gone through this thing where you live this lie. It's like you tell yourself this story about, like, you know what, I'm making tons of money, I'm doing pretty good. But deep down, you're like, I don't talk to my wife. I'm never around for my kid. On the weekends, I'm too tired. I wish I was doing something else. And like, I get goosebumps when I think about, like, you're slowly killing yourself when you tell yourself that story. And like,
Yeah.
so many people that microdose, whether it's with entheogens, plant medicines, some people work out, some people fast, but they have this come to Jesus, this road to Damascus, this conscioning, awakening moment where they're like, you know what if I didn't do that? And
Hmm.
like, that's that seed that gets planted in there, right? And all of a
Yeah.
sudden you go, I am so much more than this shit I'm pretending to be. I am
Yep.
so much better than that. Once you realize that, you can't hide it anymore. It's too big. It's too powerful. It's growing through you, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what's happening, man. But it's not an easy process, right? Were there
No.
bumps and bruises along the way?
No. And the thing is, it's not just that it's not an easy process. It's, remember, we've been programmed like this for all our lives.
Yeah.
It's just this programming of how we are and what we do, and then we get the sense that there's no escape. I mean, there was
Yep.
moments in my life where I was like, no, I'm probably smoke cannabis the rest of my life, because that's just the way it is.
Yep.
Because and there was days where I was like, you know what, that's it. Today I promise. Today I won't. Last time I smoke, and tomorrow I won't smoke again. No, I was programmed that, no, you know what? Okay, no, this time yes, and
Yeah.
tomorrow no. No, it's funny that you said that, George, because especially for our generation, right? I'm a
Yep.
big believer. That when we get to 50, we realize there's 50 that way. There's
Yep.
most likely not 50 this way, right? So what am I going to do with those 50?
Yep.
What am I going to do with what's left? If there's 2 left, there's 10 left, there's 15 left. Look, I this weekend lost a really close friend of mine.
I'm
A
sorry, man.
really close friend of mine, 55 years old,
Whoa.
beautiful human, just And she went from being on a wonderful bike ride with her boyfriend to no longer being here with us. So it happens in a blink of an eye. So I tell people, look, just because you're at 50, that doesn't mean life is over. Life is just beginning. Life begins every single day that you wake up and you take that first breath. Life begins. That's it. It's now. It's what you do right now. It's not what you did last week or a month ago or 10 years ago. It's not what you're going to do 5 minutes from now because you don't even know. So it's what you do right now and how you get that sense of living that is going to help you move forward. And you're right. We're so programmed that when that moment does happen, when you realize, wait a minute, hold on a second, life is so grand. The mere fact that I'm breathing is a miracle, So how can today not be the best day of my life? It has to be. It has to be. It can't be 10 years ago it was on our cruise and it was all you can eat buffet and who cares? It's gone. It doesn't matter. It's right now. The best day of your life is today, this moment that we have to be alive, because there's going to be a moment where we're not going to be here. I read something the other day, which is, it sounded a bit morbid, but it's so true, George. It said, did you realize that today you're a day closer to your death? What are you going to do about it? I was like, holy shit. Yes, of course. So it's this awakening that I know that you're on this path to awakening people, to helping people see the true reality of the beauty and wonderment of life. And that's the same path that I'm on.
Yeah. I feel like we're kindred spirits. I worked at a place for 25 years and was escorted out by security. And I know that feeling that's simultaneously liberating but embarrassing. It's like a kid in 5th grade peeing their pants in front of the whole room. Like you're yeah,
like, whoa, wait a minute.
But it's like I'm embarrassed now. But on some level, it's the greatest awakening one can have when you stand firm in what you believe in. And in the beginning, it may seem as if, or at midlife, it may seem as if part of you is dying, because it is. Part of you is dying, and that's a good thing. That means there's room for growth. When you let go of these things you were holding on to, now you have a path forward on some level. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of passing things down. I didn't really have any older men in my life at this particular time to help me walk this path. I had mentors as a younger man in life that I could kind of look back on. And I read some cool biographies and stuff. But did you have anybody in your life when this change came and all of a sudden you find this microdosing protocol, you're starting to see the world differently? Did you have anybody you could talk to? And what was this process of change like when you had just you and the mushrooms and going through this change?
Wow, George, that's a great question, because you're right. And sometimes, but besides the embarrassment, right? And in your sense, you know what I mean? It's this, wait a minute, what's going on? And I'm being escorted out. That's like, and my sense, it was a layoff, you know what I mean? And it was, you know what? We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like
a crazy feeling.
It's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I gave you half of my adult life.
Yep.
I've been here for 25 years and now you don't need me anymore. And then you find yourself, I was lucky, George, because before the layoff, like all of this had come into my life. Like the mushrooms were incredibly, they knew what was going to go on. And they came into my life pretty much and said, Cesar, don't worry about it. Take a deep breath. And we're going to close this 25-year chapter and we're going to open up this new chapter, and you're going to be the captain of your own ship. And it's going to be fucking scary. There's going to be days where the sea is going to be so rough, so crazy that you want to jump off without a life jacket and just go, you know what? Who cares? And there's days where the sailing is going to be so smooth and so beautiful, and the ocean is going to be perfect, and the sun's going to be shining, that you're going to love every single second of it. And it's that exhilarating part of it that sort of helped me change. Because, I mean, George, I'm honest with you, and people have asked me this. They've asked me, Cesar, what would have been of your life if psychedelics, if microdosing wouldn't have come into your life right before you got laid off? And I think about it and I go, I was scared. I fear to think what would have been that Caesar that was hooked to that cannabis,
Yeah.
demon. Because for me at the time, what would have been at that time, and I could have literally sat in a sea of depression of if I would have
Yep.
done this, if I would
Yep.
have done that, if maybe I would have told my boss she was pretty, if maybe I would have taken that promotion, if maybe whatever it was, or I could have sat in that sea of anxiety, that storm of anxiety. What am I going to do? Who's hiring a 55-year-old producer? Nobody is. They're not. They'd rather hire a 25-year-old
Yep.
coming out of college who can use AI, who can, record, produce, and do everything on their phone. Who's hiring me? But instead, it was like, wait a minute. No, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Have your conscience, find what your path is, and go. And it's funny because at the time, my only mentor was the mushrooms.
Yeah.
But the mushrooms have brought so many mentors into my life, so many people with so much wisdom, so many people who have taken me and said, Cesar, you know what I mean? Let's do this. Let's do that. How about if you do this? How about if you do that? People like you, George, who I listen to and I go, wait a minute, hold on a second. There's so much wisdom there in that conversation. So I've found these mentors, but you know why? Because I'm open to them now. Right before, dude, I'm at CNN. I own the world. I know this. Nobody could tell me how to produce a show. I mean, come on, I got this. And now it's like, no, wait a minute. It's like the more I connect to people, the more I sort of open up and say, hey, you know what? I'm vulnerable. I don't know how to do this. Well, here, let's work it out. Let me teach you how to fish so you can sort of do this. So I've found some incredible mentors. One of them, a close friend of ours, Christian Gray, who's just amazing. Shout out to Christian Gray, who is just this beautiful, beautiful human, and so many others who have just come into my life. I'll be honest with you, George, in the last year and a half, I've had more beautiful people come into my life, more heartwarming people, more people who I know I'll have as friends for the rest of my life than I really had in the last 55 years of my life. And it's this sense of, I think because I'm the most authentic I can be, I try to vibrate as much positive energy as I can. Hopefully that'll vibrate back, and it has, and it's vibrated back in so many wonderful, wonderful, wonderful ways that I couldn't be more grateful to the universe right now.
It's such a beautiful story. I want to go back to the beginning of it for a moment. You said that you had the mushrooms came into your life before you got laid off. And I see that sort of thread that runs through the tapestry of so many people's stories. Mine too. Like I found myself on a really interesting protocol of psychedelics, and I started seeing the world differently. And it's this catalyst that just for me, it wouldn't allow me to not be honest with myself. And I realized I can't do that anymore. But it's so interesting how these things come into our lives and they act as sort of a catalyst or maybe some sort of a lubricant to help us find this path forward. Like, is that a coincidence? Like, what is that? Do you take it and then realize, or does it come into your life to help you? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I in other words, if I go back to the sense of how microdosing and mushrooms came into my life, George, it has to be, they have to look for you. They're the ones that they look for you, because look, for me, a year and a half, 2 years ago, psychedelics, dude, that's for hippies, that's for stoners, that's for people that's like, are you serious? Like, and it was funny because someone close to me, this was right after 4th of July 2022, they reach out to me and they're like, Cesar, you don't understand, I was in Martha's Vineyards and I had half a chocolate bar of, with mushrooms, with psilocybin. And it's like my kids, who an hour before I wanted to kill, I was like, oh my God, they're so beautiful. They're amazing. My husband, I looked at him and I said, oh my God, I'm the most luckiest woman in the world. The fireworks are going off. It was amazing. And me in my mind, I'm like, yeah, hippie. Yeah, stoner. Yeah, whatever. You're such a druggie. You know what I mean? Like, totally. That was a mentality of psychedelics. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks later, I'm on this bike ride that we used to do here in Atlanta, 200-300 people. And I just so happened to be riding next to a guy who I had known. I befriended him on these rides, and he's looking as more happier than I ever seen him in his life. And he's just got this smile from ear to ear. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he's like, I just had some mushrooms and I feel like I'm riding a bike for the first time. I literally feel like a child. And I'm like, really? And I go to them the next week after we're back this, and now the mushrooms are sort of like they're now in my mind. Now it's like, wait a minute, the cannabis isn't doing it for me anymore. I'm not really getting high. Maybe this is other high. Maybe there's this other mushroom high that it's going to be awesome, and all the hallucinogens and everything people talking about.
Yep.
I hadn't really figured out the medical part of it, the medicine part of it. And the next week, as I'm riding next to him, I go, hey guy, by the way, do you know like where I can get these mushrooms? And he looks at me and he goes, these bikes don't pay for themselves. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. So the mushrooms not only tell me that first story, then they bring me the guy next to me who's going to give me the mushrooms. Like how is that? How does that happen? I could have been riding next to anybody else. And it was crazy because I tell people, so I get my chocolate bar, I get my mushroom chocolate bar, and I'm ready to blast off. And the first time I have a piece of the chocolate bar, Huntsman knows me. I thought it was like cannabis. You take a little puff and you're high. You don't have to smoke the whole joint. You know what I mean? So I take a square of the chocolate bar. I go on the bike ride, and I'm like, okay, like where's all the trippy stuff? Where's all the things and the pictures and it's like, and it was funny because I felt like a smile. I felt a little bit happy, but I was like, wait, this doesn't work, dude. I was ready to give my money back. And it wasn't until a week later, and I'm sure, knowing myself, any other substance, it would have been like, all right, let's go, let's try again. But it wasn't until a week later. Which was the Monday before Halloween, that I eat half of the chocolate bar. And I'm on this bike ride, and all of a sudden I go, oh my God, that's what my hands feel like?
Yeah.
Holy cow. And that's what it feels like to have a full lungs worth of air. And that's what the sky looks like. And now all the hues on these greens. And imagine, it's the Monday before Halloween. So houses are decorated and everything's very spooky. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is crazy. But you know what's even crazier, George? That as I'm driving home from this bike ride, and the street lights, the highway lights are going off as fireworks, something says to me, why are you driving this way? And I was like, what? Why are you driving this way? Like, you could get arrested. You could go to jail. What are you going to tell your kids? Then what? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. If it was any other substance, if it was alcohol, I'd be like, hey, I did worse than this. I'm gonna make it home. If it was cannabis, it'd be like, there's no cops around like that now. But there was something that said, what are you doing? And it was that night I got home and right away broke out the laptop, and I was like, what just happened? What just happened to me? And it was, wait a minute, they're using this as medicine. And what is this microdosing? What is it? Wait, people are using microdosing to get over their dependencies to substances and other things. And it was crazy because that was the real awakening of the heart. Because the heart said, did you read that? And the mind was like, no, keep reading. Go on, next page. And it was like, no, that's where it's at. If you use this intentionally, if you use this for real, you can overcome that dependency. So the mushrooms knew, the mushrooms knew when to come to me. They said, look, you're gonna need to put on some big boy pants, like some big boy pants, because you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna be left with nothing. Everything that identified you for 25 years, it's gonna be gone. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it smoking weed all the time? Is that how you're gonna sort of resolve this? The mushrooms knew. They knew when they needed to come to me. They were very wise. They're very, very wise. And a lot of people who I've talked to, it's almost the same sentiment. And that's why I tell people, besides the fact that this isn't for everybody, okay, listen. They will let you know. They will come to you when they need you. So if right now you're not feeling it, then don't do it. Don't microdose because I'm microdosing. Please don't.
Yeah.
Microdose because you've done some homework. Microdose because the medicine has said something to you, because it's sort of, it's talking to you. Listen. So you're right, George, that I'm a big believer that they know, and they find you. I think it's more often that they find you than then you find them. And it's happened to me. People who I've worked with
Yep.
said, I just happened to come across a post of yours. Like it wasn't like I was looking, and something about what you said, something about what you just, your story intrigued me. That was the medicine saying, you need to see this right now. So it's really profound. And again, Mother Nature's the one that's giving us these medicines. We just have to listen.
It blows my mind. It's almost like on some level, there's a higher intelligence trying to communicate to us, but we've just shut it off. You know, when you start looking at these slogans from the 60s, like turn on, tune in, and drop out, like all of a sudden, like this idea of turning on and tuning in is like, oh, like if you do, whether it's through microdosing or whatever method you choose, for both you and I, it seems to have been psilocybin, but you know, there is this particular intelligence that's desperately walking with you, trying to whisper in your ear, like, look, you're better than this, man. You can do this. Like, and when you explain the ideas of this is what a full breath feels like, this is what my hands feels like, it's like you're awakening to yourself. You're awakening to this new language that's trying to guide you in the right direction on some level, man. What do you think about that as a language?
Yeah, because that tune in is not tune into the TV or tune into the radio. It's tune into yourself. Tune into yourself. Yeah. And George, more than ever do we need that. Like more than ever. We're tuned into so many other things. You and I, we were having a discussion before we went live today, and it was beautiful because I think that, you know, you're doing something, I'm trying to do something, which is hand down some of this wisdom. Right, hand down some of this knowledge that we have, hand down some of our life experiences, right? Hopefully that the people, you know, can not make the mistakes that we made, can maybe awaken before we were awakened. I mean, how would our lives have been different, George, if we would have been awakened at 30, at 40? Now, again, we can't live in the past, right? I'm awake right now, right? But how wonderful if someone in their 30s, we poke at their childhood curiosity and they do their research and they do their thing and the medicine calls to them and they realize, wait a minute, hold on a second. What am I chasing? What am I really chasing?
Yeah.
And I go back to, we need this because, and we were saying, like, we live in this world that the only thing we hand down nowadays is these. That's what we hand down.
Yeah.
We hand down tablets, we hand down phones here. Find out there. And we don't have these buffet tables of wisdom where we can hand down these experiences that we have so that people can be better. And it doesn't mean, you know, that you have to learn something, but let's share, right? Let's share what we have. And I think that communication, that tuning into oneself first, right? And then being able to tune into other people will take us a long way, because right now, like we said, this is what humanity's tuned into.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's really important. It's really important that we take it upon ourselves to cultivate that wisdom, right? To sort of share this wisdom, this knowledge that we have, so that we can hand it down.
Cesar, you have an incredible. First off, the story is amazing. I love it. I love talking to you and I love learning. I want to take this other avenue though, because we're talking about waking people up. We're talking about passing things down. And you've spent a lot of time as a programmer. Like, you thoroughly understand the production of putting a story in front of people. And so maybe that was necessary. Maybe you had to go and learn all of these skills and become sort of the master in production in order to thoroughly understand how to craft a message that keeps people awake, man. Maybe you could talk about how you understand the idea of production now versus the way you did understand, or the way you were taught, or the way you were pushed into producing things.
I had an anchor who I worked with who would always say something profound. You'd write what you thought was a wonderful story for them, and they'd hand it back and go, what is this? What is this? What your first line out of the bat has to be something that people say, what did he just say? Like, what are you serious? So for me, that's what it is right now. When I relay my message, I really hope that first line grabs people, because it's too easy to swipe. It's too easy to turn off. It's too easy to do something else. It's too easy. So if we don't have and show relatability to people, it doesn't work. And for me, I mean, working in sports, like,
Right.
if I think about it, was I really cultivating wisdom? No, I was just telling facts about what happened in the game, and about, you know what I mean, what the score was and what the outcome of the game was, and maybe what's going to happen next. So, but I did get a sense of how to tell a story to try to captivate people, to try to know that with each line, people had to be like, what? Like, what happened? And what did he do? Or even through video editing, you know what I mean? To make sure that it was the best highlights, that it was the best angles. So now moving forward, now being in front of the camera a lot more than behind the camera, it's really that sense of, one, be relatable. Have people go, wait a minute, just like I am. He lost his job. I lost my job. He's divorced. I'm divorced. His kids are grown and only call once in a while. That's how my kids are. He suffered that on-age set depression. That's what I'm suffering. So when you create that, where in TV news, that doesn't happen. It's not, you can't relate to an anchor who's telling you some stories. So I learned that relatability, and it was relatability through the stories we were telling, right? Here's a sports star who did something great and helped his community. People sort of magnitude to that. They related to that person. So now that's my mission now, is to sort of make sure that people feel that they can relate to what I'm going through, that they can relate to who I am, that they can relate to what I'm doing, and hopefully poke at their childhood curiosity. And it's like I say, George, look, I'm going to talk to 5 people, right? 2 of them are going to go, are you crazy? Psychedelics? No, I know people in the loony bin because of psychedelics. No, you don't. Bullshit. You don't know anybody in the loony bin. You're going to have 2 people.
Right.
You're going to have 2 that you're going to poke at their childhood curiosity, and you're going to go, wait, what? Hold on a second. Psychedelics are being used as medicine? Are you serious? I need some more research. But you're going to have that one person who's going to be like, wait a minute, holy cow. Like, I had a really, I'm dealing with this cannabis addiction and I don't know what to do. And here's this guy who he did it. He was able to sort of break that anchor and now sail freely without it. Yeah, I want to do that. So it's that relatability that I think that I learned from the stories I told, not the anchors, right? But the stories that we sort of put together, during these production sessions and these shows, that I try to sort of now move forward and use that. And it's easier now because, look, I tell people, when I got into production, you literally needed to get your voice out, to get your message out. You literally needed a building. You needed a studio. You needed cameras. You needed a director. You needed a TD. You needed a master control. You needed a satellite. You needed to bring it down. Nowadays, all you need is this. So this is your voice. Yep. And I tell people, what is it that you have to give to the world? What is it? What is your expertise? What is your passion? What is it that you love to talk about? And give that to the world. Let that be your legacy. Yeah, you're gonna help somebody out. We live in this global connected world where there might be 10 people that need what you have, that want to learn what you do. So be that wisdom cultivator. Use you know what I mean? Don't keep that to yourself. There's gonna come a day where you're no longer here, and then what? You left a whole bunch of people that you could have taught so much to, without anything. So it's awesome that we have the ability to produce stuff, to produce content, and good content. I mean, I've seen incredible stuff, and I've seen, it doesn't have to be, Hollywood style, but it's really empowering people to whatever your message is, spread it, teach it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Share it, because it's important that we do that.
It's such a beautiful definition of cultivating wisdom. And so many people on this path, whether it's through psychedelics or for me, it was psychedelics. It's really this gift of giving yourself the thing you want to be, because you never know who's watching. Like, so many people are watching. You don't know who you're going to inspire. My friend Griggs, he's a shout out to Griggs, Reg 420. This guy right here, Cesar, we worked together for so long, and this guy is one of the most incredible photographers on the island. Like, he has these incredible shots that he gets, and he has this whole series of pictures where he sees like the faces in waves. Like I've never seen anything like it. He's like, "George, look at this one." And then I'm like, "That's a sick wave." And he goes, "No, focus on the back part of the wave and tell me what you see." And I'm like, "Dude, there's like a face in there." And he's like, I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Look at this whole set of them." And I'm like, "Dude, what? Let's put these things up, man." Like I've never seen anything like it. People can go, hey, Griggs, if you're there, can you put a link to some of those pictures, man? Like they're mind blowing. But that's what I mean, like cultivating wisdom, right? Like that thing inside of you, Cesar, that allows you to become the thing you want to be, because that is contagious, right? Like that's the mycelium entering you and then trying to find other people, man. It's the mycelium talking through. It's contagious, man.
No, totally. I tell people, look, we're all mushrooms. In one way or another, we're all mushrooms, every single one of us. The more we can connect, the more we can help each other grow, right? The more we can sort of put down the phone and connect to humans, right? To have that human connectivity, the better we're going to be. The stronger mushrooms we're going to be, the healthier mushrooms we're going to be. And it's important. And George, I love how you said that sort of, psychedelics are they're a part of my life, right? Yeah. And it's a power tool, but it's obviously not the only tool, right? There's tool of consciousness. There's this tool of exercise. There's this tool of eating correctly. There's this tool of breath work. There's this tool of taking a cold shower just so I can be invigorated. There's so many other little tools that we all can use. And they're all these tiny little things that just, if we implement it in our lives once in a while, they can make such a difference. Someone really, He's a bit of an I hate the word influencer, but he's someone who a lot of people look up to in the psychedelic space. He the other day had something talked about that I found incredibly profound, and it's something so easy to, one, ground us, to two, help us connect, and to three, just be better people. He said, set 4 alarms. At 11:11, set an alarm to take 11 deep breaths. Okay. At 1:11, set an alarm to send someone in your contacts a voicemail just to say, I'm thinking about you. Hope you're having a good day. At 3:33, set an alarm to just do 3 minutes of movement. Just shake it out. Just shake it out. Dance, jump, do whatever. Just move, because we're always sitting. We're always just sort of so stagnant. And then at 5:55, set an alarm to take 5 minutes to reflect on your day. Was it a good day today? Could I have done better? Was it an amazing day? I can't wait till tomorrow. And it was these 4 little things, these 4 little tools that take totally, in total, 10 minutes of the day to accomplish every single one of them. But they're so profound. After every single one, it's like, I feel so much better. I feel so much better, whether it's because of those breaths, whether it's because I left someone who I hadn't, talked to in a long time a message, whether it's just sort of shaking things out, and it's whether it's sort of that reflection. It's all those little things. You know what I mean? Some of us have this sense of like, I don't have time. Yeah. It was funny. There was this woman that I was working with, who she said, before microdosing, I had the sense that I didn't have time. I don't have time to wash the dishes. I don't have time to take the girls out for a bike ride. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And then through microdosing in her consciousness, she realized that the time that she's spending telling herself, I don't have time to do it, she should have just done it. she spent more time contemplating that she didn't have time to do it than the time it actually took to do the thing. Yep. So it's these little things. It's these little things that we can set in our day, these little tools. It's not psychedelics. There's no psychedelics involved in me leaving somebody a voicemail message to say, thinking about you, hope you're having a good day. But to me, it empowers me to feel so good. And I'm hoping that the other line, when that person receives it, it makes them feel good. That there's no better high than that. There's no better high than that. And that's a high I feel on a daily basis. So it's those little things, I think, that as humans, if we implement into our lives, those little changes on a daily basis, that can make us so much more happier.
Man, that is great. That's cultivating wisdom right there. I'm gonna set a timer for all those, and it's just a great way to be conscious of all the different numbers that are coming at you and how little magic moments happen. What do you think is the relationship between cultivating wisdom and gratitude?
I think they go hand in hand, right? You can't cultivate wisdom without being grateful for what you have, that wisdom you have, and being whatever that wisdom is, right? I'm grateful that microdosing came into my life, and I can sort of, spread that to other people. And you really can't have gratitude without cultivating something, right? Because it's sort of, it's that gratitude for life. It's that gratitude for everything that we have, right? I tell people sometimes, George, once in a while, to stop and do a 360. Do a 360 and realize, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because we're like this.
Yeah.
This is the only thing we see. So it's like, it's those moments of gratitude. Like, be grateful that you're alive, right? Just the mere fact that we're on this earth living. I mean, if you consider the fact that this round thing has been here for billions of years, millions of years, spinning around the sun, and we just so happen to be here for about that much of it, right? That's a miracle. And if I'm not grateful for that fact that I'm alive, and yes, look, I'm not saying, George, that my every day is rainbows and unicorns. No, of course not. But even the worst day, I can say, you know what? I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful. And it's, if it was evident before, after what happened this weekend with my friend, it's even more evident now. Because life is a blink of an eye. It's a blink of an eye. And if we're not grateful for every little thing we have, we're always sometimes, oh yeah, but Betty's got a Mercedes. Why can't I have a Mercedes? Joe's got a 78-inch TV. Why can't I have a 70-inch TV? You know what I mean? Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for what you have. You know what I mean? As little as it could be, because I'm sure there's someone that would give whatever they have for whatever it is that you're not grateful for.
It's really well said. Cesar, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute, not a 5-minute break, maybe like a 2-minute break.
Yeah. If you're still watching and you're live, I want to show everybody something that I'm about to release. I'll talk to George about it. It's the Cultivating Wisdom, a guided journey. It's a free ebook that I'm going to be putting out on microdosingover50.com. So check out my new website. We're going to do a lot of good things for people over 50 there. So please come check us out. I'll talk to George about it in a bit. Also, don't forget, get your microdosing shirt. cultivatingwiz.net. That's the apparel brand. We have a whole bunch of we got 2 new t-shirts that we're coming out with that should be there that are really cool. We did an homage to LSD. LSD is, I've been microdosing LSD for a little bit now, and it's a bit different. It's really profound and it's helped me really focus. So we did a t-shirt for our love for LSD. And we also did a t-shirt. If you know me or followed my story, I had an incredible experience with 5-MeO DMT last year with Bufo. So we did a t-shirt for Bufo. So would love for you to go check those out because they're a lot of fun. And again, look, right. Welcome back, George.
Welcome back, man.
Welcome back. Just like that. We're back. Just like that. We're gonna get you some commercials. We got to get you some commercials that you could run those breaks. We'll you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, look, you're blowing up. You're doing incredible things. Why not? Why not sort of be some part of the magic that you have, of this true life? Because that's what it's about. If we live a true life, it's wonderful. So it'd be awesome if we can get you some little plug.
It's coming, man. I've been speaking to some people, and for those listening and watching right now, True Life Podcast is moving from Hawaii to the Bay Area. And it's that same feeling you got when you left the place you were at. Cesar, like, okay, I'm leaving this place. Something's happening. There's this new chapter happening. That's what's happening in my life. And the same way you knew you were kind of being called, like, what are the chances of me moving to the Bay Area and starting to make all these connections in San Francisco, where it was like the heart of the last movement, and I'm kind of excited about this because, like, here's what I see unfolding in the future is like, I think, and people can bust my balls on this all day long, but I think we're about 4, maybe not even 4, maybe 3 years away from day glow Tesla buses rolling through different towns, new electric Kool-Aid acid tests beginning to happen worldwide. Like I see this next stage coming. And to me, when you look at like the whole, like the keeping down of the Lycos and the maps, and the hand that seems to be pushing down on the medical container, like stay over here, like you can just see the parts slipping out of the hand like a balloon when you squeeze it, and I think that's the next step in the psychedelic movement, is all of a sudden a new generation of Fleetwood Macs and Doors and all this crazy music. Like the culture is just a little bit behind the medical container, but it's coming, man. And I see it happen. And do you think that's possible? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I totally think it's possible. I think people are awakening every day.
Yeah, me too.
And it's true that, there is this sense that someone's trying to keep the hand down, right? Totally. Someone's trying to, and they're just waiting. Look, I worked in mass media enough to know that they're just salivating. They're waiting for that headline of pilot takes shrooms, tries to down plane this week, with the thing that happened with some chocolate bar company that people got sick. If you read the headlines right away, intubation, hospitalization, illness, whatever, outbreak. So there's people that are trying to sort of put the kibosh on this, but at the end of the day, the genie's out of the bottle. And it's like I tell people, George, this is not the psychedelics of the 60s. This is the psychedelics of Johns Hopkins University. This is the psychedelics of NYU. This is the psychedelics of Stanford. This is the psychedelics of Berkeley. We have the science to back up what we're talking about. It's not like before where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of hippies. No, there's a bunch of scientists. There's a bunch of doctors. You know what I mean? And it's up to us. It's up to us, what I call the normal everyday people, the fathers, the husbands, the wives, the moms, the aunts, the uncles, the doctors, the lawyers, the entrepreneurs, the butcher, who are using microdosing, who need to come out and say, yes, look, I'm using psychedelics. I'm using them responsibly, and I'm using them because it's a life performance enhancer. It makes me feel more authentic. It makes me feel more creative. It makes me feel more empathetic. It makes me feel more joy. And who are you to tell me that I can't? Who are you to dictate to me how I can open my consciousness? And that's happening. That's totally happening. It's happening as we speak. I mean, like I said, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't contain it. You can't contain the fact that people can grow mushrooms in their house.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. You can't contain the fact that there's people selling, quality product. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, but good quality products. Yes, soccer moms and pastors also. Exactly. Look, I have a great story. I have an incredibly wonderful story of a mom. I was in the supermarket. And I have my microdosing shirt on, which I always wear. I'm always manifesting that I'm microdosing.
Right.
In fact, what's funny, George, is that my last days at CNN, I would go around telling people, dude, I'm using psychedelics right now. Right. And they're like, wait a minute, you're on drugs right now? Yes, I am. I'm microdosing at this minute. And they're like, okay, yes, I am, proudly. So I'm in the supermarket. I got my microdosing shirt on, and some woman comes up to me. A mom comes up to me, soccer mom, I'm sure. And she comes up to me. She goes, do you microdose? And I went, yeah. How can you tell? Because of my smile? She said, no, because of your shirt, dumbass. I went, okay. I went, okay. She said, you know what? Before microdosing, I used to have a bottle of wine every single day. I get home from work. You know what I mean? Whatever, bust my balls. Let me have a glass of wine. You know what I mean? Have my glass of wine. I'm cooking. The kids are being a pain. Whatever. You know what? Let me just have the second glass. You know what I mean? And then I'm not going to leave that little bit that's left in the bottle. Let me just finish off the bottle. She says, now I microdose every third day. I'm more present for my kids. I'm more present for my husband. I'm more present at work. I have more joy. I'm not waking up with a hangover or a headache. Life is beautiful. So the genie is out of the bottle. That mom's not going to go back to drinking her wine. She's going to continue to microdose, right? I'm not going to go back to be addicted to the cannabis. No, I'm true authentic. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm not going to go back to sort of whatever. And the government could say, what are they going to arrest me? Go ahead, arrest me because I got a little mushrooms in my house. Go ahead, come on, fine, I'm okay with it. If that's what it takes, then let's go. What are you going to arrest all of us? So that consciousness is there, and you're right. It's sort of,
Yeah.
I think what we do need to be careful about, is that I'm a big believer that there's two types of people in this world, George.
Okay.
There's people who manifest love you wealth, and I'm not talking about wealth in the sense of money. I'm talking
Right.
about wealth in the sense of true wealth, happiness, joy, connection, positivity, and yes, money so that you have a good life, right? And there's people who manifest fuck you wealth. We really need to make sure that the people who are trying to get into the psychedelic space, who are manifesting that FU wealth, that somehow us who are manifesting love you wealth, do some gatekeeping, some type of gatekeeping, because again, it's just too easy to say, hey, you know what? Buy mushrooms from Joe Blow on Instagram when Joe Blow is manifesting FU wealth because he doesn't care what he's doing, doesn't care what he's offering, doesn't care what he's giving out to people. He doesn't care that he's ripping people off and not sending them what he says. He doesn't care. They don't care that, they're creating products that's not really psilocybin, but some synthetic, whatever. So it's the more of us that are really manifesting love you wealth, which is that wealth of I have, but I'm going to give back. And I know that if I give back, it's a little bit of that's going to come back, that we do that. So because we are at this road that, how much if it gets approved, right? If it gets licensed and then we have patents for everything from plush pillows to everything else, how much of that is FU wealth, right? How much is that is, let's just sort of bring people in and charge them $10,000 to have an experience. And then, so I think that, yes, we're on the precipice of something big, and this is just starting. This is, I tell people, we're just lifting off, and we're building this plane as we're flying it, and there's going to be bumpy roads. There's going to be shit like what happened, with the FDA last week.
Yeah.
But again, that just should keep us on our toes. Yeah. You know what? Okay. If we're going to do this, let's do this right. Let's make sure that every single I is dotted, every single T is crossed, because we're in the crosshairs. We're in the crosshairs. They're all just waiting for us to make a mistake. They're all just waiting for that person that did psychedelics and went naked and started doing cartwheels on the highway. And then there's an accident with a whole bunch of, they're just waiting for that. They're salivating for that. They're just wanting it to happen so they could see, I told you so. I told you psychedelics are bad. When the truth of the matter is that if they're used responsibly, like how many people can we help? I mean, how many veterans have said, you know what? Thanks to psychedelics, I don't want to fucking put a gun in my head anymore. You know what I mean? How many couples have said, you know what? MDMA saved our marriage. It literally saved our marriage. How many people said, you know what? Microdosing psilocybin has sort of helped me just be a new person. How many people look? It's so it's there. The potential is there, but we just really have to be cautious. I think we really have to be, and it starts with not saying, hey, psychedelics are for anybody. No. Psychedelics are important. It's a really powerful tool, but you have to know how to use this power tool. You can't just grab a saw and, and a chainsaw and just start going away. You got to sort of learn how to use it and know some techniques and know, what to do if something happens. I think that's important. That's where that educational part, and that's where that honest discussion, and that's where podcasts like yours, where we can come and have these discussions honestly, openly, objectively, right, is going to help us move forward.
Yeah, that's really well said. There's an old quote that says, when the instrument becomes an institution, it loses its ability to do its work. And when you look at psychedelics that become institutionalized, hey, you need a certificate for that thing over there. And I'm not like, you should be as trained as you possibly can, but we should be cautious of the institutionalization of it on some level, because that's where that FU money starts to weed its way in. That's where that holy man syndrome begins to find its way into the individuals and stuff, right?
Yeah. And the institutionalized is, it's almost even like, look, we live in a society that a big part of the population, unless they go to a doctor, unless the doctor writes them a prescription, unless they go to a pharmacy, unless they get this little bottle opaque with a white top on it, they're going to go, no, there's no way. Let's hope that it doesn't get to that point, right? Because look, psychedelics right now are on a seesaw, right? There's one part of the seesaw where there's this real big corporate, big money, lobbyists, patents, synthetic, $30,000 to get a treatment in Australia type situation. And then at the other side is this really holistic, grassroots, I grow my stuff at home type situation. And neither one of them is wrong. That's the thing, because this part of it where it's money and there's patents, that opens up doors to legislation and to politicians who can say, you know what? Yes, let's make sure veterans have this healing. Let's make sure it's possible for them to have. Let's make sure that somehow we can. And at the other side, it's also true where, look, I can heal myself, right? Why should there be some gatekeeper to my consciousness? Why there should be some gatekeeper to my well-being when it's something that, first of all, the earth has given us. Exactly. Mother Nature gave us. The synthetics didn't give it to us. The industrialized mechanism of medicine didn't give this to it. It's been here. These medicines have been here for centuries, for millennia, and humanity before knew how to use them, and they used them correctly, and they used them in spirit, and they used them with love, right? That's what we should find, right? That's what we should find. And you're right, that institutionalize of it might turn that instrument where it doesn't work anymore.
Do you, on some level, I think that's what happened to cannabis, because there was all this promise for it. Everyone was going to make all this money, and there was a wave of people making tons of money. But then all of a sudden, the institutionalization of kind of broke down, and it just seems to me when you over institutionalize things like that it breaks down. On one hand, I think that, and then on the other hand, I think that there's this consciousness, or that there's this divine sort of wisdom that's like, you can't monetize this. You can try, but you're going to fail if you do it. What are your thoughts? Do you think that psychedelics is going to go learn from the cannabis industry, or it's going to face some of the same sort of regulatory capture? Or what are your thoughts on that relationship between cannabis and psychedelics?
I hope that it learns. I hope that it learns from the cannabis industry, because I'm as a recovering cannabis addict, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that I walk into a gas station and there's more variety of cannabinoid products than there are of lottery tickets. Okay.
That's so crazy. I never knew that. Yeah.
When did that happen? When did it happen that I go into a gas station? It's like Delta 8, Delta 9, CBD, Delta G, Delta this, vapes, flour, gummies. Wow. So again, psychedelics are an incredibly powerful tool. You know what I mean? And used the wrong way, that can happen. And when you see stuff, some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm like, look, this scares me. See if I have it anymore. This stuff scares me. This scares me.
Wow.
See, that scares me, right? Because that's the commercialization, the sort of just, I don't even know what to call it, right? Of something that could be so beautiful, right? Of something that could be so wonderful, of something that can be, there's a difference between this and a big difference between this. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is mine. Like, I grew that. I talked to that. I love that. I brought it into my home. I play music for it. And that's why that's there, right? So it's to me, I hope that the psychedelic industry does not make that mistake that the cannabis industry did. And most of it was because they were manifesting, fuck you money. That's what they were manifesting. I had a situation where I was at a conference. A conference that had both psychedelics and cannabis. Okay. And my shtick is, you know what? People come up to my booth and I'm like, hey, welcome to Cultivating Wisdom. We're a lifestyle and apparel brand for people to manifest the fact that they're using. And a guy comes up and he goes, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I own a cannabis company And all you people with this microdosing and stuff and trying to get people off of, whatever they're have a vice to and addicted to and love to do, I'm not a fan. So go fuck yourself.
Whoa,
I was like, he's like, my job is to get people high. That's it. And I was like, okay, I mean, I get it, but is that really a way to live? And look, let's be honest. Fuck you, wealth. One, doesn't last that long.
Yeah.
It ends up somehow leaving a sour taste in your mouth. And then are you really happy? Are you really happy with 3 Rolexes and, and a $10 gazillion house? And for what? I mean, does that bring you happiness? Or does being in the line of a supermarket and having someone behind you who might not have enough for their groceries and saying, you know what, I'm going to pay for their groceries. That's what we should be manifesting, right? So hopefully, like I said, there's the other thing is there's a lot of beautiful people in this psychedelic space, right? The people who are in this for the right reasons, which is to help humanity, to help people heal, to help people grow. I think that we'll do it the right way. I have no doubt that we'll do it the right way. It's you're right, Clint. It's true. I think that if we do this the right way, we can do some good. We definitely could do some good, but we need to learn. We need to learn from mistakes that the other industries have made, because like I said, people are looking out. There's a bullseye on us. There's waiting.
Yeah.
There's waiting for that one headline. So it's the potential of what can happen is beautiful. But there's a lot to learn. There's definitely a lot to learn.
Yeah. It's on the topic of commercialization and therapy and learning. I was talking to a mycologist, Tess Brzezinski. I think she's out of Michigan. She does some really cool work. Everyone should check her out. And can you hold that one that you grew? Can you show us that one again?
Yeah.
So I want everyone to see this. This is this Wonder Bag right here?
This is Wonder Bags, yeah.
Okay, so people that are if you're just listening to this right now, Cesar's holding up a grow system that you can grow yourself. And he mentioned when he was doing it, you could play music, you can talk to it. I think that there's real therapeutic value in you as an individual building that relationship with the mushroom, because what you're doing is you sometimes you get contaminated, sometimes you have these issues, but when you grow it yourself, you are part of the process of cultivating wisdom, because you're beginning to understand, hey, I'm helping grow this thing. And as that thing grows in different stages, it helps you reflect on the different stages of your life. Here I am with the mycelium. Here, wow, look at this part. It's starting to cultivate, like it is beginning to grow on the seeds and grow these different relationships. And as you watch it grow, if you take time to think about it, you can realize that you're growing and you can see the cycle of life, and then you can ingest it afterwards. And I think that it's a different type of experience when you grow the very product that you're going to consume. I think that it's different. It's healing, it's helpful, and it's different than buying Starburst gummies from Bob's gas station, right?
Yeah. No, totally. There's this relationship to it that you have, and I want to shout out my friends at Wonder Bag, who were just amazing people. These are mushroom bags for research purpose. They're research purpose. And it's just it's wonderful to see these little things start to pop out and start to grow and continue to grow and just flourish and feed off of each other. And you see the mycelium grow, and you have this relationship with something that you're then going to, do whatever you're going to do with it as your research. But it's that hands-on relationship. It's that I grew that. I played music to it. I talked to it. I took it out. I dried it. There's this beautiful sense of this is mine. And it goes back to, our ancestors. Our ancestors didn't go out to the corner and buy whatever remedies they were using. No. They cultivated it themselves, and they cultivated it with love because they knew it was going to help them heal. They didn't sit there and get some machine to No, there's this sense of the earth has given us so many beautiful things,
Yep.
so many beautiful, beautiful things that we can use, that when you have that relationship with whatever it is, and even look, I don't badmouth cannabis. I just respect it. I have a really big respect for it because I know what it did for me. But even that, you know what I mean? When you use it in a loving way, in a caring way, anything that the earth has given us, it's beautiful. I mean, the relationship I have with the mushrooms that I've cultivated for research is really profound.
Yeah, I think it speaks to personal journeys and relationships and awareness. And there's just something you get out of a relationship that you're consciously aware of that's going to bear fruit than something that doesn't. And I realize some people may not have access. So everybody can go check out Wonder Bags. It's like they're like a relationship company. They teach you about relationships.
Yes.
What's your relationship to this? This grows this way. It's like, it's wonderful, right? It's Wonder Bags.
Yeah. And if you use the code wisdom, you actually get 20% off. There you go. Gentlemen, it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Code wisdom, Wonder Bags. Go check it out. Build your relationship.
Exactly.
It's there. It's there. It's, you know, this is a pretty good segue into maybe community and connection. Sometimes I feel it's like we're going through this huge sort of generational handoff, you know, and we see the boomers, and I think that there's just such a large amount of boomers that are retiring, and they're getting this new phase of life, and here come the Xers that are moving up, and we have this just handoff of information that's being passed down, and it almost seems like what's happening to a lot of people our age is a ritual. It's like a rite of passage, like we're moving into this next level. And if you find yourself leaving a career, thinking about leaving a career, leaving a relationship, maybe that's because you're being prepared for the next level. But I'm wondering if maybe you could talk about where we are and rites of passage. And do you see that that's what's happening in your life? And maybe could it be that's what's happening to a large part of us in our lives?
I think the more we do it, the better. I think you're right. That sort of rite of passage, that handing down, right? Yeah. That sort of seeing that that you can really reinvent your life at any age. It's the potential is there. You just have to be able to sort of tap into yourself, right? Tap into yourself and sort of really see it and really believe it. And it's that growing into your new self. I tell people, George, look, you're not really who you were, right? Because that's the past, right? And literally, you really shouldn't be who you are right now, because are you going to stay that way? Is that you're just going to be stagnant there? Life is about who you're becoming. Are you becoming a better father? Are you becoming a better business owner? Are you becoming a better member of your community? Who are you becoming, right? At this moment, who are you wanting to become, right? And whatever that is, think that way, act that way, feel that way, if it's for the betterment of yourself and anyone around you, right? Because it's really moving into these new generations, moving into these next steps that we really need to go in with an open heart, right? I think that there's 3 philosophies that I have in life. Look, there's one of my alarms.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? 3 minutes of movement, George. You gotta hang on to me while I sit here and move around. Exactly. And do some arm circles. But I have these 3 philosophies in life, George, that I think that the more we use them as we move forward, the better we are.
Okay.
And they are, number 1, love. Love is such a more powerful feeling than anything else you can feel. And love will get you to a better place. Anger, resentment, fear, loathe, that only brings poison. And it only brings poison to yourself. Because no matter how much you hate something or someone, they don't feel that. They don't feel that anger. They don't feel that hate. You do. You're the only one poisoning yourself with that, right? Number 2, forgive. And the forgiveness, George, is not for the other person. The forgiveness is for oneself. Because when you forgive, you don't carry anything anymore. Yeah. It's okay. I forgive you. I forgive. I don't carry that on. And number 3, someone once said to me, "You ride your bike a lot, right?" I said, "Yeah, I do." They said, "Do you ride your bike like this?" I said, no. They said, then why are you writing your life like that? Why are you writing life like that? So
Wow, that's good.
as you move forward, love, forgive, move forward, man, it just makes life so much more beautiful. And as we move into these, new chapters in our lives, right? As we get to those points where, 50 starts to drag and we feel like it's this rucksack that we're sort of carrying, that whatever, because I have loathe, because I'm living like this, because I didn't forgive that person that cut me off and I'm still thinking about it and whatever. That if we could do that rucksack, that backpack that we're carrying that's so heavy on our lives, can be so much more lighter because we're living with love. We're floating on love. We're not carrying anything. We're just moving forward into this new phase in our lives that we do that. And especially George, for people our generation, right? A lot of us get stuck in that sense of like, yeah, life's almost over. It's almost over. What do I got left? 10, 5, 10 years, I'll retire. Hopefully I'll win the lottery between then and now. No, that's not a way to live. That's not a way to live. Love every single second of your life. Breathe, as much forgiveness as you can. Just move forward in that path that you have of joy and wonderment. That's what's going to make you happy. That's what's going to bring you wealth.
That's well said. Inspiring, man. For me, when I hear that, it changes the way I think about time, which is another thing that happens on a psychedelic journey too, is this relationship with time, and it's more like the now, like, okay, why worry about the past? Why look back on your bike when you have all this in front of you right now, and how long it can last if you just are excited about the next moment and the relationships you have around you and the possibilities that are endless, and kind of surrendering to that. It's interesting to think about, right?
Yeah, it's true, George. I'm a big believer that there's a potential miracle around every corner.
Yeah.
But you just have to be walking with your head up to see it. You can't be walking with your head down, sort of whatever. Yep. No, you got to be walking with your head up high, with joy, with love, looking for that miracle to come. And it might not happen today, but tomorrow there's another potential that it's going to happen. And if you look at life that way, that there's a potential miracle around every single corner, then all your dreams are potential. Everything that you want to accomplish in life is possible. You just have to believe in it. You have to have, I tell people, look, obviously faith is a huge part of people's lives, right? Whatever that faith is in, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever it is. But if you don't have faith in the number one most important being, which is yourself, then what? Then what? How many people say, "Oh God, please! I hope I get this job." Oh God, you think there's some bean up there? Like, oh wait a minute, it's Johnny's turn. Yeah, you're right, Johnny. Hold on, I got to help you today. You got to help yourself.
Yeah,
and that comes with having faith in yourself. Have faith in your ability. Have faith in your love. Have faith in your compassion. Have faith in your dreams. Have faith in yourself. Because once you do that, then you're unstoppable. Then you're invincible. And that whatever you're striving or achieving for doesn't happen today, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow's another possibility. But have that faith that it is going to happen. Have that faith in yourself that you are going to be able to do it. And once you have that, you empower yourself in such a beautiful way.
Yeah, that's well said. It does. That's the energy you need to change your life. And sometimes I think that can only come from situations that you think are dire. And that's why while it takes some work, it's really helpful to think of the biggest traumas in your life as the turning point or the catalyst to propel you into a world you didn't know was possible. Because that's the only place that you have to really are forced to look at yourself and be like, some people say, you know what, because I lost my job or because my kid died, I'll never be able to do it again. And some people say, because I lost my kid or because I lost my job, I'm going to be better than I ever have before. Like, that's the catalyst. That's the energy that's like, okay, you know what? I'm glad that happened because now I have an opportunity to be better than I've ever been. Can you move that stuff goes to the side? Watch this, right? Like, that's the power right there, man. Your greatest traumas are your greatest gifts.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It's there was a woman who I was listening to this podcast, and she had lost her daughter. Daughter was 15 years old, right? They were best friends. They did everything together, and they're literally, as a human being, there potentially could be no worse pain in life than losing a child. I have three beautiful children. I can't I can't even. It's I don't even let that thought come into my mind. But she was talking about what makes her live every day. Right?
Yeah.
And one of the most important things she said is, what story do you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself the story of, I'm a victim, I'm this, I don't have anything, it's impossible, I'm not going to do it, it's not going to happen, it's not whatever, my life is horrible, why did the life do? Or does she say, thank you, universe, thank you for giving me this child for 15 years, for being able to sort of spend beautiful moments with her, for cherishing it, for just being thankful that she was there. So what story are you telling yourself when you wake up in the morning? Do you bedhead and everything? Do you look in the mirror and go, oh God, another day, this sucks, what's going to happen? Or do you look in the mirror and go, dude, you're a badass, today's going to be the best day of your life, let's go get it? What story are you telling yourself?
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up. Not only the story you tell yourself has a powerful reflect, or has a powerful action on you, but the people in your lives reflect that story back to you. And when you worked at CNN, everyone around you confirmed that you were a CNN producer. So they were vibrating that reflection back to you, and when you don't have that story and no one's reflecting that story back to you, it can be a time of despair, or it can be like a blank page, like a new place to start writing that new chapter. But sometimes it's harder to get your pen on the paper when there's nobody reflecting back. That when you just have that empty canvas, maybe you get writer's block a little bit. What do you do? Have you ever found yourself in that situation where you're like, okay, how should the story go? Like what kind of tips and tricks do you do to put the pen on the paper?
You look inside. You look inside. You look deep
right,
deep inside. And again, what story are you going to tell yourself? And that's and look, as we grow older, right, life experiences teach us so much.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, don't ride your bicycle like this, but know that those speed bumps that you hit back there, how are they going to make you decide that next speed bump? Are you going to be smart enough to go around it, or are you going to sort of be blind to it? I'm going to go hit it again and almost fall. Right. It's that sense of these life experiences, how we use them to our betterment, right? How we use them to become what we're becoming. That's important. And it's that writer's block, that block in our lives, again, comes from that doubt in ourselves, right? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to accomplish this? Is this really going to happen? Once you have that faith, then it's not there. And somebody once told me, they said, the best remedy for doubt, because that's what sometimes happens when there's no doubt, when you're free flowing, when you're in that flow, you can write, you go, because you feel it, you sense it. Once those doubts creep in, that's when that writer's block comes in. Once that fear kicks in, that's where it happens. And the biggest remedy for fear and for doubt is action. That's it. Do something, action. If you're worried about that, what can you do to make sure that worry doesn't happen? Because at the end of the day, I was reading somewhere that, George, 70% or 80% of the things that we fear don't even happen.
Yeah.
They don't even happen. So we're wasting all this time in this fear of like, when if maybe we took 2 or 3 steps to do some action or get something done, we wouldn't be there anymore. So the antidote to that writer's block is just dig deep inside, look deep inside of yourself, really close your eyes and go, okay, who am I? Who am I becoming? What is it that I want to become? What is it that I want to have, these lessons that my trajectory has taught me, so that I can become that person that I want to become? And I think that when we do that, things flow a lot easier, right? I'm sure, George, you've seen that. You know what I mean? Back in your days, work where you're just like, whatever. And now it's like this real true you right, can flow and has this energy, and things just happen. And it's just a lot easier to get them out because you have faith in yourself, because you believe in yourself, because, you know, you have this sense that I can do this.
Yeah. I have found, and I think most people on this path, or think most people that have the faith to believe in themselves, once you get stuck, there's always a sign, there's always a symbol, there's always a warm breeze, there's always something that's like, take it easy, you're going to make it through this thing. And you start looking back at the previous successes that you've built on. Like, well, look at that. Remember that time? Yeah, I remember that time. What happened? Where are you now? You're better than you were now. Oh, okay. Well, then that's the path. But it takes a few of those, it takes a few of those faith healings, if you will, that you have to have with yourself. You know, those times when you're like, oh man, I did it this time. But then you start thinking about like, what? Yeah, well, you know what? I'm way better than I was. I'm way better than I was when I lost that thing. That's amazing. I've grown so much. And when you start stacking a few of those wins, you get momentum. And that momentum becomes unstoppable. And like, it too becomes contagious. People are like, how did you do that? Oh, well, let me share it with you. Here's how you do it. And you start giving to more people and you get more momentum. And then it's something that all of us can do, I believe. Everybody listening to this within the sound of my voice or Cesar's voice, like if you're just willing to take a chance on yourself, it'll pay off in dividends. Stop buying other people's dreams. Stop investing in other people's stories as much as you're invest in your story more than you invest in other people's story, and watch your story grow. Watch you as the main character in the novel that you're writing, and write yourself a bigger part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, George. And write that story in a sense of sharing that story with others, whatever that is. Look, I love sending out little messages just because I know that it might resonate with one person. Yep. Right. And the more we do that, and you said something before where it's like, you don't know where these little messages can come from. Right. Sometimes we're the most like lost. All of a sudden we get this message of like, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. Yeah, that is true. Right. Yep. And it's, and as someone who wants to vibrate that energy, you never know what something that we do, something that we say, a show that you have, a guest that you have can say something, do something that's gonna be that message for that one person, that needed that message at that moment, that needed to hear that needed that sort of little swift kick. And go get it, dude. Just have faith in yourself. Go have it. Yep. That's where one, that vibrational energy that you give off, right, comes back. Yep. Right. And you don't do it because you want it to come back. It comes back. Right. But it's that ripple effect that once you sort of put that positive energy, that positive vibration out there, one, it makes you feel better. It makes you get in that flow. It makes you thrive. It makes you sort of, get amped out about what's happening, but you don't know who you're touching. Right? You don't know who you're making their day or getting that sense of like, wait a minute, I needed to hear that. That's important. So yes, definitely share your story, share what you're doing, share your passion, share, because you don't know how that message can be received by one person who is looking for it at that moment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. It's one thing I try to do wherever I go into a store or something, or I talk to someone, I always say, hey, thanks for working today. And they just stop and just smile. They're like, what? I said, yeah, thanks for working today, man. I'm stoked you're here. And they're like, yeah, hey, thanks for coming in, but it shifts. And I know, because someone did that to me one time, a long time ago. I was having a horrible day and they're like, hey man, thanks for working today. I went, what? What'd you say? I said, thanks for working today. And I started laughing. I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you. But you're right. You never know what sort of positive energy that you give to someone can change their day and it could change their life. Like one word can change someone's life, and you can give it for free. You can do it for free, Yeah.
You know what I love to do? George? What? I love to at least once or twice a week go into the supermarket in the morning and say good morning to everyone I find. Every single one. Hey, good morning. Have a good day. And if I see your name, if you have a name tag, hey, Betty, how's it going? Have a good day. And I'm just hoping, I'm waiting for the day that someone says, hey, go fuck yourself. You know why? Because I'm going to go, I'm gonna go, thank you very much. I'm gonna go fuck myself. You go have a good day, because nobody's ruining the best day of my life.
Right. Right.
But it's that again, like the same thing. Most people walk into the supermarket like this, don't realize who's going on. You don't know if the person at the cash register had a bad day. And by you telling them, have a good day, thank you for working.
Yeah.
That you could make a difference in someone's life.
Yep.
Oh, that's beautiful. Again, it's again, it's that human connectivity, and we need it more now than ever, George. And I think that it's gotta come from us, the older generation.
Yeah.
People, let's put the phone down for a second. And look, I'm just as guilty of having that thing in my hand more than I need to, more than I should. But it's that I started, and I only started yesterday, so day one so far. I made a point of taking the phone and at night leaving it somewhere else, put another room, not next to my bed. I don't need to go to sleep and the last thing I see is a screen. I don't need to wake up and the first thing that I see is a screen. You know what I mean? There's time for other stuff. So that connectivity to humans, now more than ever, we need it more, because there's too many humans connected to a machine and don't even realize what's going on. I'm scared that we're going to turn into the movie. Remember the movie WALL-E, when the world ends and you're just sitting there and there's a screen and there's no communication with anybody. It's just you order there. It's like, let me get to order eats. Let me sort of, that sort of that hopefully we don't turn into that hopefully there's enough of us in this awakening that say, hey, let's put the phone down for a second.
Yeah.
Right. Let's sit at this buffet table. Let's cultivate some wisdom and let's leave here with a smile. Well, I mean, I think again, we talked about handing down this wisdom, George. I think that's the type of wisdom that we need to start handing down more and more often.
There's a great book called The Fourth Turning, and they talk about the jobs and the archetypes of generations. And, you know, as Gen Xers, we're like the last feral children. You know, we've got to be brought up by maybe our parents and our grandparents. And so in the book, they talk about the job of the Gen X from boomer to zoomer is to bridge that gap. You know, a lot of boomers have this idea, like, you got to get out, you're on your feet, sit around and do nothing, you play video games all day. They're really hard on the zoomers. The zoomers like, these boomers don't know anything. They're a bunch of dummies.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. You know? And like, I think that the job for the X is like, you know, all the young kids that play video games or that are on their computers all the time, like, instead of consuming, create something, because you're going to be on, like, this is a new tool that's given to us and it's beautiful. AI, all of it. It can be an incredible tool, and you can either consume or you can create. If you consume, it will consume you. But if you create, you are actively involved in giving back to the human mycelium. You're actively giving back your creation, whether it's just tweaking a video, making a comment on something, starting your own channel, your own podcast, your own video, your own stream, whatever it is. Like, the possibilities are limitless when it comes to creativity in the virtual world. And that should be our message. Is like, okay, take this idea of the boomers can do anything attitude and just move it over into the digital attitude. And like, we can kind of come together and be that bridge. And like, I hope that people choose to create instead of consume. It's okay to consume, but create. It'll change you.
Yeah. And it goes, you know, that creation, because people go, well, what do I create? I go back to the same thing. Create whatever your wisdom, whatever your passion is, create that, create a tool that you can hand to other people so that they can have that wisdom that you have, so they can have that knowledge that you have. And again, whether it's an ebook, whether it's a course, whether it's an app, you know what I mean? For people to sort of, whatever it is, to create, to give back to people. I think that's a beautiful message, George, because the more we can create and less consume, the more we can give back. Right? Because if we're consuming, we're just taking. Give something back. Right? Create something, and we live, like you said, we live in this beautiful world that now you can create so many things at your fingertips. I go back to the analogy of the broadcast. You know, you don't need a studio anymore. Whatever your voice is, whatever your message is, put it out there. Give it to people, create that in some type of form, some type of digital form, so that you leave that for people to learn from you and have that wisdom that you have.
This brings up an epic point. When we talk about creativity and giving something to somebody and not needing a studio, it seems for so long that people that own the right to certain information didn't want it out, you know, and maybe that's a copyright thing. Maybe that's a intellectual property thing. I don't have this idea fully fleshed out, but it seems to me right now, technology is moving so fast. You can't patent an idea. You can't copyright an idea, but I can give you my idea for free. You can take it, twist it up, make it better, and then put it back out there for someone else to do. And imagine what happens when the free flow of information is freely available for everybody to work on. That makes everybody rich. You know, there's some artists that are putting out songs like, hey, go ahead, remix it. If you make money off it, give me a cut. And like, what happens when we change our mindset from this is mine, you can't use it, to, hey, this is something I put on. Can you make it better? And we all win from that. Like, that is going to fundamentally shift society into abundance mindset. And I see it with podcasting, with making videos, with using music. Like, it's changing so rapidly. There's not enough time to go get an attorney. Like, hey, that guy used that clip on my song. Like, who cares?
Who cares?
Hey, that guy used part of my podcast. Perfect. That's out there for more people to see. You know, it's like,
exactly,
it's better.
It's love you wealth. It's love you wealth.
Yes,
it's love you wealth. It's abundance. That's where it comes from. And that's beautiful, George. We should, you know what I mean? Again, this me. This is my.
Right.
What are you going to take that? What are you
Where are you going to go with that?
Exactly. Tomorrow you're going to be gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And would you leave? You didn't leave anything.
Yep.
You took it for yourself, and then give.
Yeah.
Just give. Create. Create for people. Create for joy. Create for love. Create for happiness. Right? Do it with all the wonderful intentions that you have, and the universe will bless you. The universe will bless you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Cesar, this is an amazing conversation. We got to come back. We got to bring more people in here. It would be cool to have a panel discussion and do
we would love that,
more
George.
Often, man.
Yeah. Again,
look,
I think that you have an incredibly powerful voice, right? True life is what it's about. True life. Your true life. What is your true life? If we could bring more people here to, one, share their true lives, right? And two, open up people to live their true life. We can do great things. We can do wonderful things.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people who lost hope for humanity. I have not whatsoever. I have so much hope. I have 3 kids, you know what I mean? I want hope for them. You know what I mean? I want a better world. I want us all. And I have hope that we can do it, that collectively awakened, you know what I mean? We can make huge change and huge strides.
Yeah, I heard a good quote one time that says, being really early looks a lot like being really wrong. So a lot of people are fearful. Everyone's like, everything's going to crash wrong time. Like, dude, we're just early. We're just really early, but it's beautiful. Like the dead wood is dying off. We're sticking our wing out of the cocoon for the first time, being like, what is going on here? I don't feel the same. This detritus is all around me. And that we're breaking out of the cocoon right now. Like, we are going to live in a world, and I know that's going to be better than we could possibly imagine. And I know because I talk to people every day that are creating it. Like, there's so much juice out there. There's so much love, and there's so much potential for our children to live a life that we didn't know was possible. And let me throw it back to you, Cesar. Where can people find you? What do you got coming up? What are you excited about, man?
I am, George. I'm going to share with you something exclusive. Exclusive.
I love it.
It just went up today.
Okay, let's check it out.
The new ebook is out. Cultivating Wisdom.
Epic.
A guided journey, awaken vitality through microdosing. So it's a free ebook that I have up now on a new website that I just launched, microdosingover50.com. I want people over 50 to realize that they could reinvent their lives at any moment, that because you're over 50 doesn't mean life is ending. Life is just beginning. So I want to share with people my experience of microdosing. I want to share with them how I've been able to use this tool to become who I am right now. And I want to help guide them, to doing this correctly.
Yeah.
Education is important, right? And like you said,
Yep.
I would hope that someone takes this information and then creates it better. You know what I mean? That's what I hope. I'm putting this out there for
Yeah.
free so that people can learn and they can share that wisdom, and then at the same time become better. So microdosingover50.com, definitely check that out. Also cultivatingwisdom.net is the apparel brand. So go there and get your apparel, because you talked about something, George, earlier, and you talked about community, right? The purpose behind this is to create that community. Why? So that someone says, oh, you microdose? I've heard about that. I've read about that. Can you cultivate me with some wisdom? So you open up the community. Or someone like the woman says to me, oh, you microdose? So do I. What are you microdosing? Oh, I'm microdosing LSD right now. Really? How's that? Oh, it's incredible. Okay. So you fortify the community, and that's important. So, because before it's like, you know what? Manifest that you're using psychedelics, that you're using them responsibly, right? And if you have something like this, then you can do that. We just launched 2 new shirts, which I thought were really cool. A little homage to LSD. So we have a new shirt that's got the molecule of LSD, and on the bottom it says, "I love Lucy." Which it's an homage also to my daughter, whose name is Lucy. And then if people know my story a little bit, they know that last year I had the incredible, profound experience with 5-MeO-DMT with Bufo, which is, they call it the God molecule for a reason. I realized, George, that I'm God, but you're God also, George. And so is the woman at the counter at Starbucks who's being a pain in the ass. She's God also. So we have a shirt because there was this adage where we went that Bufo doesn't give a fuck. It's gonna show you. So we have a toad head, and underneath it says Bufo don't give a fuck. FOK. So if you know why Bufo doesn't give a F, that's a great t-shirt for you to have. If you love Lucy, that's another good t-shirt for you to have. And if you're microdosing, then this is a pretty cool shirt to have. It starts conversations. You know what I mean? You could be the cool kid on the block who's microdosing. It's funny when I wear this, I love getting, the smiles of the people who know, you know what I mean? And I love getting the curious look of the people who I know has heard about it, has read about it, but they're like, oh, maybe I should ask him about. So, like I said, George, this is a time for us to manifest that we're using psychedelics as life performance enhancers. If we use it that way, then people can get it, right? Because, and the reason, George, was I told people, if me, a guy 50 years old, has some shirt that's tie-dye, that's got some mushrooms on it, and I start talking to you about psychedelics, what are most people going to say? Listen, hippie, listen, stoner, why don't you go off to the woods, and when you're not high, come back and we can have an adult conversation. Where if I wear something like this, I could come off a little bit more believable. You know what I mean? More, okay, wait a minute, maybe he knows what he's talking about. So please check out the apparel brand. Please check out the microdosing over 50. If you're not over 50, I'm sure you know someone over 50. You know what I mean? It's like I tell people, if I can't teach you about microdosing, maybe I can teach your parents about microdosing. So definitely check us out. 20% discount if you use gratitude 20. So we'll do that. And the ebook also, there's some other good offerings that we're going to have in microdosing over 50. We're going to do a nice little course on enhancing your connectivity and creativity through microdosing. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to put together a nice 6-part course, start to finish, on microdosing, from everything from intention setting to getting down your protocol, to cultivating your own medicine, to the importance of integration, to the importance of community. So we'll do that. We have a nice little group, Adults Who Microdose, on Facebook, which is really cool. So the idea is to just create this container, this conversation, this community of loving people who can say, yeah, you know what? We're using psychedelics because they make us better people.
Man, can you hold the book up again? I didn't even know you had a book coming out right here. Like, it sounds to me,
it's an exclusive.
Yeah, thank you for
I put it up there today. I dropped it out there today.
Cultivating Wisdom. And what is the subtitle?
Awaken vitality through microdosing. And the cool thing is, George, check this out. What I love
Yeah,
about
please.
it is that it's if I know how to work this thing, it's geared almost as a kid's book. The lighting here is really bad. Hold on. It's sorry. It's oh no. It's a bit of a kid's book. Hold on. For adults on how
Right.
to microdose. You know what I mean? We have having some fun in there.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about understanding microdosing, things to do. It's not a scientific, you know what I mean? It's got
Right.
emojis in. Oh, sorry. It's got emojis in it and stuff. So, you
Right.
know, we're having a good time. We're taking ourselves seriously without taking ourselves too
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
So again, microdosingover50.com. Get in there, sign up for it. It's a really cool book. It's got some great quotes in there. It's got some fun in. There's also other, you know, places where I've been. I have some partners that I've worked with that are on there that you can get some discounts at different products and stuff. So, you know, we're just, again, we're helping educate people and destigmatize psychedelics
Yeah.
in a positive way.
Yeah. It's such a powerful catalyst for change and dissolving boundaries. And I'm hopeful. And I think you're at the forefront of this. You know, we spoke about particularly psilocybin or microdosing being a rite of passage. And it seems like we have been absent that, especially people that are going through like the middle age shift. Like there is no real place you can turn to unless you have a mentor group or mentors that can kind of help you through that. It
Yeah.
sounds to me like that's kind of what microdosing over 50 can be. It can be an
Definitely.
outlet for men, women, people in their 40s, people in their 60s that are going through these changes. Like I see the world differently now. Well, hey, welcome to the club. Come on over here. You know?
Exactly. That's what it's about. It's about awakening. Look, I say that if I can convince my mom, who's 80, then we do it. Which is a funny story because when I start microdosing and I call my mom and I go, Mom, you know that cannabis dependency that I deal with? She said, I'm your fucking mother. Of course I do. And I went, okay. I said, Mom, well, get this. I'm going to start using psychedelics to overcome my cannabis dependency. And she was like, what? Are you fucking crazy? She literally said to me, she goes, have you smoked that much weed that you think that this is the solution? And I said, Mom, trust me. Please give me a little bit of credit. I'm a journalist. I've done my homework. I've researched this. There's science behind this. And I said, Mom, and here's the other thing. Right now I have two options. I either continue to smoke cannabis like there's no tomorrow, or I try this. And she said, you know what? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. A month later, when she sees the change, when she says, holy cow, we just started a business. I've been busting his chops all his life to start his own business. Now he's done it. He's talking differently. He's acting differently. She's in Colombia and she buys me this pendant. And she hands it to me and she goes, I'm so proud of what you're doing. So George, I tell people my parents are proud of the fact that I use psychedelics. If that's not an endorsement, what is? And the crazy thing is that mom makes these pendants in her free time. She makes these little pendants of mushrooms just because she's, you know, she gives gratitude to these mushrooms that were able to sort of save her son from that addiction, save her son from, you know, sinking in some depression because he lost his job, you know, being stuck in a storm of anxiety because he doesn't know what he's going to do. So she's grateful to the mushrooms for what they did. So now she makes these little pendants, which is, I think, is super cool.
Yeah, it's infectious. It's contagious. It's this overwhelming desire to create a better version of yourself on the planet. And it works through you on some level, man. It's amazing the creative process that happens from just having a different state of awareness, getting to love yourself instead of being conditioned to think that you're not enough, which culture does all day long. You're not enough. You're never good enough. All that. Just get that out of the way and watch what happens to you. You unfold like a flower in spring and people want to be around you. Like, that guy smells great.
Right? Isn't it true, George? People see the difference. People see the change. They could sense it. They could feel it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. When you're awake, when you're truly, truly awake, People see it. People want, it's infectious. People want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the same way that people catch a cold or they catch a sickness. Like that is a bad sort of contagious. But if that is true, then happiness and well-being and starting the best version of you is also contagious. And like you can, all your relationships change when you stop lying to yourself. All your relationships change when you start wanting to be the best version of yourself. All your relationships change when you give yourself permission to become that person. And psychedelics really help with that. Like I know that it's not a panacea, although if you talk to Adam Tapp, he would tell you that it is. Matt Zeman has a book called out Psychedelics for Everybody.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Listen, it works.
It works.
You don't need the science on some level. Like it works. It works. If you find yourself in a situation, get Cesar's book, read about it, do some research. If it's calling you, start doing some research and figure it out.
Listen. If the mushrooms are calling you, listen. They're calling you for a reason. They're finding, if you're listening to this podcast right now, there has to be a reason why. You know what I mean? We gotta continue to be kids and be curious. Curious. The more curious we are, the better. I love what Clint said. It's true. Cultivating is a good way to compost and till up your bullshit.
Yeah, right.
It is. True. It helps us. It helps us. Look, psychedelics helped me work through a bunch of my own bullshit.
Me too.
Through a bunch of beliefs that I had in myself of who I was or what I was. No, this is the real me. Psychedelics have really, really helped bring out the true Cesar Marin. And I hope that Cesar Marin is someone who can help other people, who can help other people awake, who can, help other people see that there's a different way, who can help people get to themselves and say, you know what, life is beginning today. Yeah. My new life starts today. That's when it starts. Yeah.
Such a great awakening. It's so beautiful. Cesar, incredible, man. Can you give out the name of the websites one more time?
Sure. Microdosingover50.com for the free ebook, for the courses we're going to have. I'm also trying to put together some retreats so people could come down with me. We're working on a retreat in Colombia, South America, which would be great. So we're doing on that. And then, of course, cultivatingwisdom.net is the apparel brand. Most of my content, if you want to see some of my content, is on Instagram, which is cultivating.wisdom on Instagram. And, of course, you could always find me on LinkedIn. And again, just tap in, you know what I mean? Just be part of this joy, be part of this circle of love and forgiveness and moving forward, because that's what we need to do.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had as much fun as we did. I hope we got to start off this week with a bang. I hope you're inspired. I hope you go check out get the free ebook. He's giving it away for free. Do some research and check out, reach out to him, reach out to all the links will be in the show notes. Cesar, hang on briefly afterwards, but to everybody else, I hope you have a beautiful day.
George, before we go, please, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for the voice that you are. Thank you for the passion and the joy that you bring on a daily basis when you have these shows. I really want to thank you. I can't let the time go by without thanking our men and women who serve our country. Thank you to them. Hats off to them. If you have someone who served, who has served, who is serving, reach out to them. Let them know that you care about them. Let them know that you love them. I have a son who is honorably serving, and I couldn't be more prouder of him. I can't tell him enough how much I love him. I know what it takes to serve because I've seen it in him. I know to the point that they can be bent, you know what I mean? Because that's what they need to be. So these people who have worn these uniforms need us. They really need us. So take a second, just call them. Say, hey, thinking about you. Hope you're having a great day. So definitely shout out to our military. And again, George, thank you to you. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you for giving me this platform to share my story. I love that the universe has put you in my circle and has let me step into your circle. Yeah. I really hope we do this again. And much love to you, brother. Much love to you. Like I tell people, keep cultivating wisdom, keep spreading much love, and never, ever forget that today is the best day of your life. So, George, Thank you for being part of the best day of my life, my friend.
Right back at you, man. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a beautiful day. Aloha.